back to Spreadver Homestead. So today we're going to cover your top 5 questions about canning. So the first question we have is, what kind of canning is there, and is pressure canning dangerous? Which is kind of a two-part thing. There's 3 main kind of canning. There's steam canning, pressure canning, water bath canning. Different techniques are used for different things. Your pressure canning is going to be for your low acid foods, which is like meat and some vegetables. And then, of course, your water bath canning is going to be things like jams, jellies, salsas, most of your fruit, that kind of thing. There's also a method called steam canning. There's a lot of different opinions on whether or not steam canning is actually safe. I don't do it, so I can't say a whole lot about it. The one thing I found online that everybody says that it's absolutely safe for things like canning juice, but you can also do that water bath canning. So I don't really know what the benefit of steam canning is. You'd have to probably investigate that if it's something you want to do. For the second part of that question, is pressure canning dangerous? I don't think so. Pressure canners have come a long way. You've seen some of the really old pictures of like canners that have exploded on the stovetop. I think people get a little scared. But I have a Presto that I've been using for about 10 years. The big thing is just to keep an eye on your seals. Keep an eye on, make sure that all of your equipment on it is working fine, from your gauges to your vent. Make sure that you're venting correctly and that the safety plug is in good shape and has the ability to blow out if you were to get too high a pressure. So is it safe? Yeah, we do it all the time. Okay, so the second question is, can I preserve meat by canning without using a pressure canner? There seems to be a lot of debate on this. I know there's a lot of old-timey methods that say you could water bath for umpteen hours and it would be fine. USDA and all the other people who monitor canning will tell you absolutely not. It's not safe. And I don't really see a benefit to doing it that way other than not having the extra piece of equipment. You know, some of the people that say you can water bath can meat, you water bath can it for 2 and 3 hours, whereas even with the venting process, and we're at a higher elevation, so it takes us longer to get to pressure. You know, I can do pints in like, you know, just under 2 hours. So don't see really a benefit to doing it. A more dangerous method. So me personally, if you're going to can meat, just get a pressure canner. You can get them starting at $100. It's an investment, yes, but like I said, I've been using mine 10 years and it's not even showing any real usage yet. So the next question is, can jar lids be reused? You know, the little metal lids that go on. No, they cannot. There are some reusable lids on the market. I had some for a little bit. The Tatler lids, which are kind of a, I don't know what kind of plastic they are, but they're plastic with a rubber gasket. I did some water bath canning with them and had mixed results. I've never actually tried to pressure can in them, so I don't really know. There seems to be quite a learning curve with them. There's a lot of videos online and websites that talk about how to use them and get them to actually work correctly. So if it's something you want to look at, definitely try it. Like I said, I tried it. I got this one box, tried some water bath canning, wasn't happy with them. About half of them failed. But I use them when I vacuum seal food. I like to use them in the jars for vacuum sealing, just because once you get them to seal, they seem to stay. But there again, are the metal ones reusable? No. There's a couple videos online that talk about how to put new sealant on them to reuse it. Please don't do that. If you want to look into it, I guess go ahead, but it seems dangerous. But for as inexpensive as the little lids are, just get new ones. Save yourself, and you know, nobody wants to put a lot of time and effort to go in and can stuff and then have it fail, or worse, to make your family sick. So this one I've seen quite a bit. People asking, what do you use the different size jars for? Because of course, if you go into the store, it's kind of intimidating. You've got all these jar choices now. So I'll kind of go over what we use ours for the most. So this little 8-ouncer, this is the half pint. They make these in a couple different shapes. These are usually what you're going to put like jellies, like salsas that you tend to give away. chutneys, that kind of stuff. Stuff that you don't use like maybe a whole big jar of, but just a little bit of it at a time. I use my green salsa in these, like my green tomato salsa, because we don't use a lot of it. Whereas a jar of red salsa will last, you know, around here, we use it quite a bit. So, these, like I said, jams, jellies, stuff you don't use a whole lot. And these, again, are the half pint. These are an 8-ounce size. Now, they also make a 12-ounce jelly jar now. Same thing, because it's kind of between this and your pint. Same thing, it's made for jams, jellies, salsas, that sort of thing. Okay, and then you've got the 16-ounce pint size. We do most of our canning in these just because it's just Kanan and I. So this is plenty for us for pretty much everything. So I use these for the majority of our pressure canning. So I'll do pulled meat, chunk meat, sausage patties in the bigger mouth, small ones, if you've seen that video. Salsas go in these. Chili starter goes in this. Pasta sauce, either this or the quarts. Most of our vegetables go in these. This is by far the size that we use the most of, and we've got in both the standard mouth and in the wide mouth. So this is by far my most versatile jar. We use it for pretty much everything. There is another size, because everybody's got half sizes out now. There's a 1.5 pints, which sits between this and the quart jars. And the only place I've ever seen them is, I think Ball makes them, and they're only wide mouth. So they're, you know, as tall as a quart, but they're much thinner. And we use those sometimes for meat. That's all I've ever really used them for, mostly for pulled meat or chunked up meat. You can use them for all kinds of stuff, but that's what we usually do with them. And then, of course, you've got your quart jar. And this one's a little foggy from having stuff handed it, but you've got your quart jar. For us, we don't do a whole lot with this. I do some pulled meat. If you're a bigger family, meat in this would probably be fine, but for two of us, it's too much. Potatoes, when I can potatoes for quick meal stuff, we usually go in these. Broth, I'll do broth because a whole, you know, quart is quite a bit to make soups and that sort of stuff with. So we don't use it a lot. Like I said, some pulled meat, some broth, pasta sauce. A lot of times I'll make some big pasta sauces. And pie filling is another thing that tends to go in the quart jars. We do some of those in the pints, but especially in the quarts. And that's about it. Now the other size jar you'll see in the store a lot is the big gallon jars. Those are not actually safe to can with pretty much at all, other than to do juice. But they are awesome for dry goods storage. So I put a lot of dehydrated stuff in them, and then I've got the big attachment that goes on the vacuum sealer to vacuum seal the lid on to keep it nice and you know, airtight. So that's pretty much what the gallons are going to go for. Like I said, you can do juice in them. I don't even think they'll actually fit in any of the canners that I have. They're so big. But if you've got, you know, juice that you want to can, you want to do a gallon, you definitely want to look into that. So the last question I've been getting is, what is my favorite canning resource? Is there a website or a Facebook page or a book or a YouTube series? The thing I have used for years for my canning is this little jewel right here. You can see it's got a million little tabs in it, and it is the Ball Book of Home Preserving. This is my holy grail. This is what for as much as I use it, it's in actually pretty good shape. I've been using this book well over 10 years, I believe. Worth every penny. It's about 25 bucks, give or take. And it's got a lot of recipes in it, which are good. I usually will go through the water bath and pressure canning sections before I do a batch, just as a refresher, just a quick little read through. It'll remind you of times and pressure poundage. There's charts in the back if you're at a higher elevation. It's just a great book. Love it. This is my go-to. I'm sure there are some great websites and things, but me personally, this is what I go to when I'm canning. Alright, so there you have it. Those are the top 5 questions I've been getting the most of, all about canning. We've got some other food preservation questions, but we just figured we'd start just with the canning stuff. If you've got other questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. You know how this works by now, probably. If I get enough we can do a secondary video. Of course, I'll do my best to answer your comments as they come in. And we will see you next time. Happy homesteading.